Thank you, Producer Brandon. This is Scott Johnson on behalf of Hopkins Farm Broadcasting here in Shelbyville, Tennessee, Bedford County, about 50 miles south of Nashville, 25 miles south of the borough, in the lovely and today sunny Green Hills of southern Middle Tennessee. Got another special Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership program on today. We're going to be talking about economic development and things going on here in our community in Bedford County this morning. I got three special guests here with me today, and we're going to do a little round robin here. We got Walt Wood to my left here. Walt was the CEO at the Chamber of Commerce for, about 15 years. We have Gary Fayard, who's on the Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership Board of Directors and a former officer in a very large corporation. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And we have Kasey Kesselring, been active in the walking horse industry for years and runs a local bank here. So, gentlemen, thank you for coming in this morning.
Nice to be here.
Very important topic. Obviously, I like to always say that, and I think you gentlemen will agree, it's kind of in Bedford County, it's our time. And it truly is. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of good things going on. But I want to first start with kind of the history. And Walt, I'm going to call you the archives, okay, for economic development. And really enjoyed I was on Walt's board of directors back then. I had a great time working with him on initiatives. But Walt, why don't you kind of give us a little bit of your background?
Well, thank you, Scott. Appreciate being here and with everybody else. Good program, good information coming out. I was with the Chamber starting in 1998 they hired me as CEO. I was vice president of the Chamber at the time and had been a volunteer for a number of years before that. And I worked with the Chamber of Commerce and the Board of Economic Development and Tourism, and we engaged in a lot of activities in tourism and economic development. Our main goal was to promote tourism, which we have been and still are a tourist center that still can be enhanced and expanded. But we also spent a lot of time working with existing industry. We supported our existing industry because they were the people that brought us to the dance. That's who we danced with.
Business retention and expansion, right? The folks that are already here.
Business retention and expansion, and it worked very well. We did a number of special studies with nationally known consultants on BR&E programs. We implemented their findings, and we had expansions because of that. We had
There was a lot of jobs added during that tenure. Well, I do recall that.
Yep. There was. I recall about the last 4 years I was here, there were about 1,400 new jobs added. 94% of those were confidential. They were existing industry expansions, and companies release details or they don't. It's their business, and a lot of times they don't want their competitors to know what they're doing, so they don't announce what they're doing. A lot of it was investment in new equipment or upgrades to equipment, but we did have a number of new companies locate here. But at the time, we didn't have any publicly owned industrial park land. We didn't have a spec building. We didn't have any pad-ready sites. But we had a supportive party out at that owned airport property across from the airport.
Right.
And we were able to work and recruit Walmart Distribution Center.
I remember that, and I'm glad you brought that point up, Walt, about most of these, especially these larger businesses, there's always that sometimes difficulty between government and private industry working together, because government's all out in the open and needs to be, and in private industry they want to keep it to themselves. So that's why you have an organization like the Chamber or the Partnership that's not, it may have some government funding, but it's not a government organization, so you can work programs. And it really is up to those businesses to decide when they release information. It's really not up to the government or anybody else. So a lot of times folks have a difficult time, I think, understanding that.
You may recall that the Walmart DC project, it was called Project Carter Burgess. That was the consulting firm that Walmart Corporation had hired to site 12 DCs, fresh food distribution centers, at the same time they were citing ours, and we competed with 14 other communities for the location. And up until literally just a few weeks before they made their decision, it was still Carter Budgers. I did not know who it was, and that's the way they did business.
That's not uncommon, Scott. I think a lot of times in government, transparency is important. But in the private sector, they don't want to release information till they're sure that they can really make something work. And it's not uncommon to have to sign non-disclosure agreements when you're in conversations with those folks before they're able to make those decisions.
We had several cases where I was under a non-disclosure agreement, even to the point of telling my board. And
I remember those days, Walt.
The folks that I worked for, I'm working on a project. I'm sworn to secrecy. I signed on the dotted line, and we're working to keep them here. But I had the confidence of the local management and the corporate management, and was able to work with them to make things work.
Well, and it's a critical piece, obviously, and I think it should go from a common sense perspective. It doesn't always do that, but I mean, the bottom line is the competitive nature of business, and the fact that they don't want to announce too early sometimes, that you just have to have that, and they're not going to want to work with a community that can't work under those terms. They're going to want to go somewhere else. Right. So it's important to understand that, and I think, and hopefully most of our elected officials do understand that nowadays, but I know that's been a challenge. It was a challenge when you were there, and it's been a challenge since then. But
there was a case in Tennessee, I'll not name the community, but a local official announced a project, and the company called up and said, we are not ready to announce, and you've made the announcement for us, so we're moving to another community.
There is no telling the economic impact, negative income that cost, right? And I mean, it's understandable. Folks want to they're proud of getting a business here or something, but you do have to do it in accordance with the terms.
But there's another piece to it, I think, as well.
What's that, Gary?
Which is, okay, so it's private, and we've got non-disclosures. Then how do we, as a public, know that you're doing what the community really wants to do?
Right.
And so there is one of the things we've tried to do at the partnership. Is the reason we had government officials on the board of the partnership, like you,
right?
So that you kind of know what's going on, but also have criteria that we're only interested in things that fit with this community, that have high-paying jobs. We've looked at some things that the state has brought to us, and it had a lot of $12 and $13 an hour jobs, and that's just not what's going to help the community. So we're looking for higher paying jobs that improve the lifestyle, the quality of life of the people that live here.
Folks, we're talking to Gary Fayard. Gary is on the Shelbyville Partnership Board of Directors. He's the former Chief Financial Officer for Coca-Cola International out of Atlanta, and a local cattle farmer now for quite a few years now here in Bedford County. And I know, Gary, one of the things you do at the partnership is I believe you've looked at requests for information that the state economic and community development people send out, right? So you have to cull the herd, so to speak.
You have to cull the herd. I will tell you that I got one from the state week and a half ago, and without going into too many specifics, it was for a smelter, and I just didn't think that was exactly what we would probably want here.
It's interesting, Gary, because we used to have one here.
Really?
Yes, and Walt will remember that, and when it shut down, Walt made sure we didn't get another one back here because it shut down, but it was zoned for that area. Yeah. So,
but this was one because of the infrastructure requirements as well. There was no way we could have looked at it anyway because of infrastructure requirements.
Well, smelters have a lot of hazmat issues too.
Yes, they do.
They do, and we had, Walt and I had dealt with that years ago with a particular organization here. They actually had really good paying jobs.
They did,
but it was very few. They don't employ a lot of people. So I think, Gary, that's a good example of having that broker like the partnership look at those requests for information from the state of Tennessee and see if it really fits our community, right?
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And I'll give a little bit of background on myself. I had 2 jobs in my working career.
2 jobs?
2 jobs.
Okay.
I was with Ernst & Winnie, Ernst & Young, one of the big 4
CPA firms.
CPA firms.
I remember that.
And I was the audit partner on the Coca-Cola company engagement, and I ran the audit practice for the Southeast U.S.
Okay.
Then I went to Coke, and I was controller for 6 years. Then I was CFO for 14 years. And so I was kind of on the other side. We were building plants, and we were looking at locations and all of those kinds of things.
Different perspective then, yeah.
We were doing it in 200 countries around the world. And I woke up every morning. My routine was to look at currency exchange rates and all. But it's the same kind of thing. And then I retired, and my wife and I looked around and the U.S. of where do we want to live, and Middle Tennessee.
Because you were in Atlanta at
I was
the time,
in Atlanta.
Right? Okay.
And Middle Tennessee, I will tell you, is one of the prettiest parts of the country.
It truly is.
And that's why we moved here. Mm-hmm. And now we're part of the local ag
yes, you
community.
Are.
And it's
big time.
Incredibly important to this community.
One of the biggest ag counties in the entire state of Tennessee. You know that.
Yes, yes.
And and I appreciate that perspective and bringing that up, Gary, about how that kind of works. And it's just not like anybody's coming here, because obviously for certain folks with, like you talked about, $12 an hour jobs is not going to raise our demographics. It's not going to raise our quality of life here, right?
That's exactly
I'm talking about for like a factory or something.
Yes.
Coming in here.
And I think what Walt said as well, and he used one of my favorite sayings as well, which is you dance with the one that brought you. Mm-hmm. And the ones that brought us here are the businesses that are here. And so our first focus has got to be on making sure they're successful, what we do to make them even more successful, and expand the jobs that are here.
Yeah, because most of them are looking for opportunities to expand at some point, depending on what's going on in the economy, right? Things like that. And I do like that business retention and expansion always needs to be the number one priority.
I had an opportunity to have lunch with Gary Cooper this week.
Of Cooper Steel.
Of Cooper Steel, which is a
great company here.
Local company. And
although they're in 2 other states as well now.
Yes.
At least 2.
But I'll paraphrase, and this is not exactly what he said, but it's got... we were talking about welders and getting, which are great jobs, and
they really are. Yeah,
they are great jobs and high-paying jobs. But he said, what I need is, I don't need a welder that's a paint-by-the-numbers welder. Mm-hmm. I need an artist that can actually create art in welding. That has got to be that kind of perfection, and
a whole nother level.
Whole nother level,
right?
And that's what I think. In a lot of different businesses here, that we can help to ensure that compatibility between education, the school system, TCAT.
I think we call that workforce development.
I believe we do. And I think we've got a lot of opportunity there to really help our local businesses.
We have so much opportunity with the TCAT, the new super TCAT that we've gotten, and TCAT has been an integral part in
folks, that's the Tennessee College of Applied Technology for our listening audience. Yes. Sorry for interrupting you all.
It's all right. Sorry about the acronym.
Well, we all use them. Trust me, I was in the military for 20 years. I talked in acronyms. It's a language on its own. But go ahead.
But incumbent worker training is one of the keys to retaining companies that you have. And also, the TCAT is like the beacon at the airport. Industry, businesses that are looking at this area can see that. They know what they do as far as the training and so forth. And one key area is industrial maintenance training. They have a course out there that after, I think it's 1,800 hours, you can graduate in industrial maintenance, and you're certified, I think, in 5 different areas: industrial electricity, robotics, pneumatics, probably AI now, and so on. And those students can start at $80,000, $90,000 and go up from there. So I think that's one of our key factors in doing what we're doing. And
Absolutely. That new TCAT will open their doors officially in about 2 weeks out there on 231 North. We want to put a plug in here for Representative Pat Marsh and Senator Shane Reeves to secure that funding from the governor to build that state-of-the-art facility, which will help our local factories and businesses here. Folks, we're going to take a 60-second break and be right back.
Kincaid's is proud to offer Beauty Rest Black to our customers. Beauty Rest Black represents a leap forward in bedding with sleep climate technology keeping you cool and triple-stranded pocketed coils to give you luxurious support all night long. Wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day with a new Beauty Rest Black mattress from Kincaid Service Company. 400 Madison Street, Shelbyville, across from the Speedway gas station. 931-684-5662.
When's the last time you've seen the eye doctor? Don't wait. Whether it's little Carter's first pair of glasses or keeping a good eye on your vision health as you age, your eyes are a precious thing. See personalized care for the whole family and friendly faces at Dr. Hasty Family Eye Care on 605 North Main in Shelbyville across from the U.S. Post Office. Striving to bring you excellence in optometry every single day. Don't put your family's vision off. Make an appointment today at 931-684-2020. Personalized eye care for the whole family at Dr. Hasty Family Eye Care.
Folks, this is Scott Johnson on behalf of Hopkins Farm Broadcasting here in Shelbyville, Tennessee, Bedford County. We have a special edition with the Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership, the economic engine, workforce development, tourism, Chamber of Commerce here in Bedford County. We're talking to Walt Wood, the former CEO of for 15 years of our Chamber of Commerce here, and some of the history, and Gary Fayard, the former Chief Financial Officer for Coca-Cola and a member of the Shelbyville Partnership Board of Directors. And Kasey, we're going to get to you next.
All right. Good stuff.
On doing things. Kasey's very active here in the local community, runs a local bank here, and very active in the walking horse industry. And I know in previous lives you've been active with planning commissions and chambers of commerce. So tell us a little bit about that, Kasey.
So, came to Tennessee by way of the horse industry, and caught a hold of us, got the disease, and haven't ever been able to.
We like that, though.
To give it up.
That's part of our tourism thing
right,
here.
Exactly.
That's right.
100%. But
in our ag.
Yes, but have been in the private sector for more than 30 years and spent a couple terms on planning and zoning board, commissioner appointments on planning and zoning, and tourist development for about 12 years.
Yeah.
So, and I think, to dovetail off of some of Gary's comments, some of the challenges that we have here from an economic development perspective really is understanding that we still have 40% of our population traveling outside of Bedford County to go to work.
Yep.
And I think that the more we can focus on creating sustainable jobs here in Bedford County, the better off we're going to be in doing that. And with that challenge, our housing is doing well, but almost too well, in the sense that our average housing price has gone up over $300,000 now. But our household income is at $69,000. So we've got work to do, and I think we have a tremendous opportunity, as you said, Scott. The future is here. It's right on us. It
truly is.
It's on us at this point, and it's really incumbent upon us to plan as well as we can, to attract those sustainable jobs and employers to come in, so that people can work in and afford to live and work in Bedford County.
And that planning part, and we had the city and county planner on a show the other day, and because obviously the growth is here. It's just how do you manage that growth,
right.
And we like to call that smart growth.
That's right.
It's here. It's not going away, but we want to make sure it's smart growth and get those quality jobs.
Concerned about reasonably concerned about our farmlands and our agriculture, because
this is a huge ag.
I mean,
there's a big ag guy right there sitting next to you.
Poultry, beef cattle, horses, absolutely.
Row crops.
That's right. But there are avenues for us to plan and still protect that major sector here in Bedford County with agriculture. People get concerned that we're going to lay waste to agriculture and farmland,
subdivide the entire county.
Yeah, and we don't have to do that. We have opportunities to do that in a way that still preserves our role in the agriculture community as well, and I think we can do that.
Kasey, from a local businessman perspective, and What do you think are, and I know that you just talked about a couple of those challenges. What are some of the other challenges we face here, you think, in Bedford County that need to be addressed?
Well, in line with that same dialogue, our unemployment rate here in Bedford County was as high as about almost 5% middle of the summer. It has started to come back down. We have people who need sustainable jobs and to be able to afford basic things like housing. And with housing prices increasing, it's becoming increasingly more challenging for people to afford to buy homes or even to rent homes in Bedford County. So the way for us to continue to plan for that is we have to create more sustainable jobs in Bedford County where people can earn a wage that would make it possible for them to afford rent and or hopefully to be able to buy their own home.
And that's why it's so critical, as Gary was talking about earlier, when looking at those requests for information, because they do normally have, I think, in there, Gary, what the average, they don't always, but most of the time, what the average wage will be. And I think, like you said, if it's nowadays, one time $12, $13 an hour was, but nowadays in Bedford County, that's you can make more than that at a fast food restaurant in a lot of cases. So we got to look for something different.
And if you went for that, just to understand,
just to get jobs,
you would have growth. You would generate growth,
but not the right growth.
But we would bankrupt the county in doing it, because then we wouldn't be getting enough tax revenue to pay for the kids going to school. So we've got to get the right combination of growth to really improve the lifestyle.
I'm glad you brought that up, Gary, because Mayor Graham's talked about that many times on his program, is how that affects the tax base. And because the more growth we have, the more schools we have to build.
And I guess one other point I'd like to make on that is that no one likes to pay more property tax, including me.
I think that includes all of us here.
Yes,
please raise my taxes.
Yes, the way to really, but you can't save your way to prosperity. I learned that in business. You have to grow the top line. So
we're talking revenue.
How do we grow revenue? Okay. And in this case, tax revenue. Well, the way you do it is you do it through tourism. So you're getting
sales
dollars from others that don't live here, that don't have children going to school here. You get it from businesses that either grow or come here, and they're happy to pay it if, in fact, they're doing well.
And they're making money,
And so the growth, the right kind of growth, increases revenue, keeps our property taxes down or level.
Thank you.
And we get more jobs that are higher paying. So there is a virtuous cycle here.
Yeah.
But Robert Woodruff was the guy that ran Coke back in the 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s.
Okay.
He's the one that actually took the Coca-Cola company global, and put in plants everywhere.
And it is global, Gary, because being in the military, I've been to some really bad places. There was always a Coke. There was always a Coke sign there.
And the way they did it is, in World War II, everywhere the U.S. troops went, Coke built a plant there. And so we went around the world. Well, Robert Woodruff had a saying. And his saying was, there is no limit to what you can achieve as long as you don't mind who gets the credit. And I think if more of us would stop worrying about who's getting the credit for something just all going in one direction, we could really achieve some wonderful things.
Well said, Gary. I do believe that, and that's part of teamwork. And I know, Walt, back when you were it's always kind of up and down with politicians, isn't it, as far as working with local elected, whether it's county, city, state, whatever. And when you got everybody pulling together, things get really good, right?
We have had an experience in a long decades and decades of local officials working together. And we had our ups and downs. But
goes in cycles.
The 15 years I was there, nobody worried about who got credit. It was about,
there's a key.
Let's get the job done, and there is no I in the equation. It's we.
Correct.
I's not in the word team.
We got this done. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the way it needs to be, because it's all about obviously making a community quality of life better. Yes, Kasey.
I was going to say, to dovetail off of Walt's comments.
Yes,
that's something that new businesses look at.
Yes, they do.
So, I mean,
Absolutely.
If they get the sense, I mean, they have as much access as we do to social media and things like that, and if they get a sense that that there is a lot of discord there, that's a strike. Against us as a potential site or an opportunity for new businesses to come to Bedford County. So we have to do the best we can to work together and not be concerned about who's going to get the credit for it, but because really what we want the citizens of Bedford County to be the recipients,
the beneficiaries
of it. Absolutely.
Absolutely. My dad used to locate plants for Jostens when they were a very large corporation, and I remember him talking about, because every once in a while he'd see the local discourse on some things. He'd go, we hired consultants and companies to really do a deep dive on data mining, on information, to see was the local community working together, because if they're not, then we just can't go there, because it would be a hard start from the beginning. So, and now, of course, he didn't have social media when he was doing it, but now social media is even more so, because when I go and speak to local groups and stuff, and folks always bring up to me that probably one of the worst and best things that ever happened was social media and Facebook or whatever, and how there's so much inaccurate information. Misinformation is probably a better way to put it. And I've said this many times on the radio show that as a county commissioner, the main question I get asked nowadays by constituents is, hey, I saw this on social media. Is it true or not?
Right.
And I like people to contact me on that, because when you're involved in stuff, you can actually either confirm or deny that. But gentlemen, we're going to be running out of time here in about 5 minutes. Walt, what do you want to add before we go off the air about economic development here, before I ask Gary about the partnership and where we're headed?
Well, Gary noted Robert Woodruff's quote, "There's no limit to what you can achieve if you don't worry who gets the credit."
Yes.
And I want to echo our late county mayor, Eugene Ray. That was always the first thing. Don't worry about who gets credit. Let's get the job done. And so I
do remember that. I worked for Eugene for 12 years.
I think we can all keep that in mind and spread the word, and let's get things done. Better jobs, better paying jobs, and jobs that are retained here, and not worry about who gets credit, because when there's a ribbon cutting or a grand announcement or something going on, like the TCAT,
bring everybody together.
They have their grand opening in a short time. Everybody there gets credit for it, and the state wouldn't have put it here. The State Board of Regents wouldn't have put it here if it hadn't been the right place, because they could have put it in Murfreesboro, more centrally located. Murfreesboro used to be the capital of the state. I think they're the center of the state. So
yes,
we have to be vigilant, and we have to watch and listen and continue to not worry about who gets credit,
right?
Because it works.
Gary, I appreciate your comments on revenue versus, I mean, because that's the bottom, and how to do that, with different types, because there are several different types of revenue for government to make things happen. But is there anything from a Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership perspective, and I know you're working the economic development issues for the partnership right now, anything else you want to mention?
I think if you just look in totality, that we're trying to address tourism, huge opportunity for us, because Shelbyville-Bedford it's a beautiful place. We've got a huge asset in the Duck River. I think we've got a lot of things we can really expand on in the tourism. I think as far as economic development, it's what we've been discussing. It's one that we've got to focus on, because we also I think most want their children as they grow up to stay here, not move to the big city. And we've got broadband expanding. We've got lots of opportunities. The pieces are here. We now just have to put them together. And I think we've got a huge opportunity, and we just got to do it the right way.
Roger that. Kasey, anything you want to add before we go off the air?
Yeah, I would just echo the comments of the others that we're at a very pivotal time in Bedford County, and I think the more that we do work together to find sustainable solutions for existing businesses and attracting new businesses, it's going to be to the benefit of the citizens of Bedford County and quality of life.
Amen, brother. I do appreciate you three gentlemen coming in today. A lot of talent in this room, a lot of experience in this room right now. Walt Wood, the former CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, thank you again for coming in, Walt.
Thank
Gary
you.
Fayard, former CFO for Coca-Cola and a member of our Shelbyville-Bedford Partnership Board of Directors. Thank you for coming in. And Kasey, local business guy and walking horse enthusiast.
Yes.
And spend more money on walking horses,
right.
Kasey. We appreciate that. It kind of drives the economy. But again, thank you, gentlemen. It kind of makes my heart feel pretty good about the future of Bedford County. But we do all need to work together here. Folks, we do 10 government-related talk shows every month right here on WLIJ at 98.7. You can see this on YouTube or a Facebook podcast later this afternoon and review it again and look at all the details. But there's so much information out there. And as we like to say here in Bedford County, if you really want to hear it, tune in and hear it straight from the horse's mouth right here on WLIJ at 98.7 and hear the facts. Scott Johnson on behalf of Hopkins Farm Broadcasting. Until next time.
When's the last time you've seen the eye doctor? Don't wait. Whether it's little Carter's first pair of glasses or keeping a good eye on your vision health as you age, your eyes are a precious thing. See personalized care for the whole family and friendly faces at Dr. Hasty Family Eye Care on 605 North Main in Shelbyville across from the U.S. Post Office. Striving to bring you excellence in optometry every single day. Don't put your family's vision off. Make an appointment today at 931-684-2020. Personalized eye care for the whole family at Dr. Hasty Family Eye Care. Visit Kincaid Service Company today to experience the superior comfort of a Serta mattress. Serta has pioneered sleep innovation for more than 90 years, bringing quality products to more than 150 countries worldwide. Serta Comfort is validated by consumers with thousands of 5-star reviews and are designed and assembled in the U.S. at one of Serta's state-of-the-art facilities. Serta's award-winning mattress collections are created by providing superior comfort along with overall support and breathability. Get Serta Comfort by visiting Kincaid Service Company in Shelbyville. Online at kincaidservice.com.